Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the Morning View. Welcome back to United View. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Friday. It's nearly the weekend. There's no football for Manchester United, so you can just be calm and chilled. And whoever your national team is, just watch them or don't watch any football at all. Big up to you. Hope you guys have had a good week, man. Hope you're feeling healthy. Hope you're feeling fresh. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. The early birds are in here. Who have we got? We got H Abs. He says morning. Wow, Owen is late. It's gonna be flex. It's got to be Flecknology. It says Slick Flick. No comment. Gemo says morning UV fam. And morning all says AK. Let's get a quick 100 likes, says Daniel Luciano. I like that. I do like that. Let's get a quick 100 likes. We're at 71 already, so let's just do that. Let's just get 100 through the door straight away. A lot to talk about this morning. We're going to be talking. You know what? We have to talk about it. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, what's the point? This, that, and the others." But it's a real thing, obviously, at Man United. We have to talk about injuries, yeah, and when we can expect to see these guys back, and when we can expect to see our key players back. So we'll talk about Lenny Yoro, we're going to talk about Luke Shaw, we're talk about Rasmus Hojlund, and of course the forgotten man Malacia, who we haven't seen in so long. You just forget that he plays for us.
Literally, I was when that news came out yesterday, I was looking for a picture of him to put on social media, and I didn't realize there wasn't a picture of him in last year's kit, let alone this year's one. At the moment, I thought the only pictures of him in Man United kit are from his first season with the collar, and I was like, oh my god. That's when you start to realize how long it has been. I think it was May 2023 the last time he played for Manchester United. Yeah, madness.
Yeah, it's been bad. And we want to talk about sort of not just obviously the update of when these players are back and when we can expect them back, but also the impact, how we think the squad should look when they are back. How do we think it's going to help us? How do we tweak what's going wrong with the addition of these players back? And a whole lot more as well, whatever you guys bring up during the show as well. Get your questions in as well. We'll get those answered. Get your comments in as well. Daniel Luciano is straight off the bat with the first super chat of the day. He said, oh, what's the point? This, that, and the other. So yeah, there you go. Right, Owen, let's get into it. Manchester Evening News did a piece about it today. So a few other people have been doing it as well. What's the crack then?
Yes, well, quite literally with some of the injuries, a crack in the bone. Ha ha ha. Well done, Fleck, broadcaster. It goes through all of the players. It goes. Come on. I mean, that's not. We don't need to.
So disgraceful. Absolutely
disgraceful.
Yeah. How would Eric Ten Hag describe it?
Stupid.
There you go.
Stupid.
And there's the new one. This doesn't really apply, but I like the new Kenny.
Poor, terrible defending.
I like that one. That's going on. They're always adding in.
Poor.
But
poor is one of the best
terrible.
Ones. We need that on some t-shirts.
Poor, and I mean poor.
Let us know when the UV merch finally comes, because Josh is on it, I promise you. When it does arrive, then we get some slogans. Who's on having a poor?
Yeah, and how would you spell that? How would you spell poor?
Oh, poor. I think just for emphasis, poor. I might even go Pooer or
poor. But I think there might be a
Puah.
I think there might be a W in there. P-O-O.
Yeah.
W-A-H. U-H. Poor. Poor. With a picture of Kenny like that. Something. Oh, it could be magic. But when it comes to all of these injuries, yes, the Manchester Evening News have written an article. What are the players that are currently out injured, what their injury is, and when they're expected to return? So let's begin. Let's begin with Lenny Yoro, because obviously he was the summer signing. We were excited about that. Still a bit discrepancy, shall we say, about if he was injured when we signed him. Wasn't he injured when we signed him? We're kind of past that point now. But of course, he's got the foot injury. He was ruled out for 3 months in the summer after suffering that fractured metatarsal in the friendly against Arsenal during the first game of pre-season. He was withdrawn in the first half of the game. He faces to wait his official Manchester United debut in a competitive game. They're listing the potential return date as the game against Ipswich away in the Premier League on the 23rd of November. So that one still is quite away. And you would think, considering the injury, and we know how Leacher last season when it comes to foot injuries, and you never really know what you're getting until you're back in training. And then once you're back in training, once you start kicking the ball again, once you have to get into an actual game, and it's always different. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a really long time with him, because they're going to take time with him anyway to integrate him into the team, depending on circumstances. So I think it could be closer towards the end of the year, actually. Yeah. Not just like 23rd November. I think we're talking maybe like he might make an appearance before the end of the calendar year, possibly. Something like that. It's going to be time.
Yeah, I'm going to go Christmas or back end of the year, just for safety, just for not getting it in my head and getting excited that, he could be back. And then if anything else happens different to that, it's a bonus. That's the easiest way to cope with that one. Because you never know. Look, obviously we're scarred by the most recent occasion of this, which was obviously Lisandro and how badly it went in terms of, back, then complications, then actually gets back and then does a separate whole injury and does his knee, wasn't it? Was it his knee? Yeah, when Kufal fell on him, innit? So that bit was unlucky. But in terms of the original foot injury, there were clear complications. He came back for a few games, didn't he? Was it against like Wolves and stuff? Like when Cobby scored, was it around that time?
He came back for a bit. By that point, he was back, and it was just after then that he had the knee injury. You have to remember. He injured his foot against Sevilla at home in the Europa League around.
We were winning.
That's like March of 23-ish, and basically he wasn't back and recovered from that until January the following year. Essentially, he had two surgeries.
Overall, because he came back only for a bit. Then it was wrong.
He came back over he came back, pre-season. Then played the first few games of last season. It was around this time actually that it was like, there's something wrong with Leacher. There's something. We could tell there was something off.
Arsenal? Was it Arsenal the one you had to come on?
Arsenal, and then. Well, it was Arsenal, and then we played because he played against Bayern in the Champions League as well. Even though everyone knew that he had something wrong with him, and then he had the next surgery and what have you. So it can take a while.
Yeah, it can take a while, and that's if it's not managed properly. Not every single injury is the same. No. Lenny Yoro, you can flip it if you want to have an error of optimism. You can say he's 18. When you're 18, you're still growing. The likeliness that you recover quicker than a 26-year-old Martinez, is he 26, 27, 25, something like that? Mid-20s.
Around that age.
Around that age. He stopped growing, clearly. You can argue that, it's easier for an 18-year-old or teenager to get over those quicker. And he could be ahead of schedule. And if he is, I want to say great, but also if we get a report saying Lenny Yoro's ahead of schedule, he's now back in first team trail, he's off the crutches, he's on the grass, ahead of what they thought. As much as that's good, I still would be like, who's saying he's ahead of schedule? Who?
Well, and also he's not the player. He's not the player. No disrespect to him, but he's not like Leacher last season in the sense of we have to get him back into the starting 11 now. You know what I mean?
We don't even know where he fits in yet.
Exactly.
So take as much time as you need, and we've got, providing they're fit, we've got two senior centre halves plus Harry Maguire, who is a senior centre half. I know people say he should have gone this, that, and the other, but when he needs to fill in, he'll do a job. Basically, the kid has everything around, and when you have De Ligt there as well, the kid has everything around him, where as long as those guys stay fit, there shouldn't be any pressure to rush him back. He should just take the maximum time. Even if he is ahead of schedule, use it as a luxury time, behind closed doors, 45 minutes or something like that, whatever it needs, just give him the extra time. And let's just hope and pray, the words of Bavado. Just on Leacher, because someone said it there, Leacher's been rusty. Can we just have a quick conversation about Leacher?
Well, yeah, you know what's funny about Lisandro Martinez? It's the same as we do with every player, isn't it? It's they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Then maybe they have a difficult couple of games. Actually, they're a fraud. They're not that good. They're terrible. Yeah. I've been saying since day dot that they were terrible.
Yeah. This is why I want to have this conversation.
He's still, for me, look at the difference between when he's not in the team versus when he is. The problem is at the moment is that we're not playing very well in general. But he'll get back to it. He'll get back to it. Remember, like we just said, he missed, for all intents and purposes, nearly a season of football last year. He played over the summer in the Copa America. So
look back to his best.
I don't think he's like miles off. I mean, some of the sort of discussion surrounding him recently is that like he's been putting in absolute stinkers. Now, maybe you look at the second goal. Definitely, he should have done better against Liverpool. Definitely. What other ones would you say he should have done better in? Against Brighton? Was he at fault for any of the goals?
As well. Yeah,
could have done
Maguire
better.
one, yeah, but he was in no man's land for the third.
But
and just a couple of rusty points. He hasn't returned to it.
But it's not enough to be like, see, we've overhyped him. He was never that good. Blah 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 blah. I think that's a bit of a stretch. He'll get back to his regular form. Again, who in that team at the moment are we going to point to going? They're playing really really well.
Yeah, there's no one.
No one.
For me on Leacher, I don't know. I've just seen it the same way. I haven't pivoted from what Leacher is, what he isn't, what he's good at, what he's not good at, and how valuable he is versus when he's not in the team. I've just seen it as I personally did think there was a little bit of a over, like you say, that far left. So it's like, right, he is the best centre back there's ever been. Like he's amazing. Like, forget Van Dijk, forget Prime Rio, forget I'm telling you, Leacher is for me, I was always like, well, he's really good at what he does and really important for us. But if he doesn't have certain ingredients around him, he's less effective. Just like a lot of players are if you don't have the right system, you're not in a settled back four. So for me, I think like his right-hand side has to be very good. So it was Varane, he's got the protection there, you got the covering, you got the now he's going to have De Ligt, so I've got no problems. Like the partner needs to be good. I don't see him as like one of the A sides where no matter who he plays next to, like they will be all right. I don't see it like that. I think he needs to be in the right conditions. But when he's not in the team and with what he offers us, the way he can progress the ball is brilliant. His box defending, like he's usually obviously right now he's taken a while to get back to speed, is very, very good. His aggression, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes over aggressive, and there's a lot of sort of times where he might step out and get turned, etc. But more than not, he's winning the ball. So you can't really berate someone for having that level of aggression, and sometimes it goes bad. That's the risk versus reward when you defend like that. So I don't mind that. The leadership, the passion, he gets it. You need someone like that. For me, he's just lost his level a little bit, like you said, Owen, because he's been injured. This is that simple. And he needs to get back to his level.
Teams are playing well. Still, you look at the top teams in the Premier League, they would all have Lisandro Martinez. But the way that they all play, they would all have him. Pep would have him in his team 100%. He might not play him at centre-back, in fairness.
Yeah.
Pep.
Yeah, and he might not start all the time, but they would have him.
Of course they would. With the majority of the teams playing out from the back, of course they would have Lisandro Martinez in their team, or the very least in their squad. So again, this idea that because we're having a tough time, suddenly he's this dead player that it's just another failure of a Manchester United signing is just not true.
He's not that, but that thing about overhyping and saying is that I do believe we've done that in parts with him. Like obviously the Butcher thing is like I get that, but I'm a little bit more like, yeah, he is that, but like it has to be with a certain surroundings. Like I said, I don't think you leave him on an island, and I'm not saying you should leave any player on an island. Of course, they get exposed. I know that, but there has been a little bit. I think a bit too much. He's very good. For me,
right away,
very good.
I get a pushback to that in the chat. But a lot of people in the chat said no, Bleacher wouldn't get into a lot of the top Premier League teams. With Arsenal or with City or with Liverpool or Spurs.
He wouldn't get into Arsenal. He wouldn't get into Arsenal. He'd be in the squad.
But they play a settled back four, don't they? If you look at City, how settled is their back four? He chops and changes it all the time because of rotation.
And they wanted him first.
Leach would heavily be in that rotation. Arsenal, we're saying he wouldn't get into Arsenal's team, even though Arteta wanted Lisandro Martinez, and he turned him down for us.
Instead.
And got Timber instead. As I said, might not play centre back in some of those teams. I'll give you that one. But are we now into the territory where we're going like, oh no, he wouldn't get anywhere near those teams? Is that the territory we're now in? Because he's had a couple of bad games. We're now been like, then he'd be nowhere near.
He wouldn't.
It's
He wouldn't
bullshit.
not be known.
That's not true.
He wouldn't start for
Is
Liverpool.
it important? Well, they play with
Van Dijk's
slightly
left centre back.
left centre back. But again, he might not. He's another one with Liverpool. He might not end up playing centre back under Arne Slot.
By the way, Robertson. But then the way they've had Robertson traditionally,
he might end up moving him.
That. I do think that the left back, Lisandro, I don't think that's even really a thing. Yeah.
But that again, even left back Lisandro, I agree with you. I agree with you with that because when he played at left back for us in the Community Shield, he looked way, way, way off. But
he ain't played that years.
But it depends on the system, doesn't it? Because he could play left back for City because it'd be about actually you just get
build up with a free and you can do that. Style, so, like they say in boxing, styles make fight.
In the same way that we need to stop overhyping players, it's totally true. I totally agree with that. That's what the Graham Souness thing the other day with Cobby, wasn't it? And he is right in that regard. But also, we need to stop just completely tearing down some of the better performers because we're in a difficult moment as well. Because we do it to everyone at the same time. We hype them up, and that's part of our problem. We hype them up really high, but then we tear them down so far below as well. Everyone's dead. Everyone's awful.
This is interesting. This is,
and that's why you worry for Cobby. That's why you worry for Cobby, isn't it? Because eventually, I'm telling you now, Fleck, he's about 6 or 9 months away from everyone going, actually, he's dead. He's dead. Cobby's dead now. Why? Well, because he was never actually that good in the first place. And I said he wasn't that good in the first place, blah, blah, blah. We've got to be careful with that with our better players.
Everyone in our fan base is saying he is the best. Anyone who claims that in a little bit, again, is doing the notoriety thing and just trying to, do you know what I mean? Say things for the sake of saying things. But these types of conversations do bring a lot of opinion. I mean, I saw Show say that basically Leacher would be in the squad. Show said he's on the bench and a squad player for those teams. The difference is we rely on him and he must play for us. So it does have loads of different opinions on these types of subjects, which is why it's interesting of how we actually rate our players. Because in light of what, Graham Souness was saying, there is, like you said, we do have to have these conversations of the balance. It's either they're amazing and they're the homecoming of Rio and bloody Steve Bruce all in one, or like you said, they used to be good, but now they're dead. Oh no, rubbish, this, that, and the other. And the reality is there needs to be a level-headedness between all of it. Like you can't just be on someone like Lisandro and saying he's dead, he's this, that, and the other now when he's been so important for us.
Top teams.
And he's gone and won the World Cup and Copa America and played big parts.
But he's dead.
You know what I mean? But he's dead. But at the same time, you also can't be like, he's the second coming of Christ. He's just, I tell you what, put him on any team, any player, leave him what you want.
I'll give you the Liverpool one.
He's
not.
Look
at their back four and you look at that back four and that set. You go, fair enough. The Arsenal one, I'll give you that. He might not play centre back. In them because their centre back pairing's locked in, isn't it? It's Saliba, it's Gabriel, so I'll give you that one. But again,
and it's about pairing. Look at Spurs.
Yeah,
Romero,
but I same with Arsenal. The same way that you've got Urian Timber, he plays centre back at Ajax, but then plays at full back now, and they play and they've moved to that sort of thing, didn't they? Where they can play. Ben White plays at right back as well, wherever, and he can play centre back though. They sort of shift him, don't they? Leach would get in that back four. Of course he would. Of course he would.
He could have a role in it.
And then again with City, again their back four pairings shift and change all the time.
Nathan Ake's left back half the time.
all the time.
Or Kanji's at full back or some shit like that.
Exactly.
It's different. They play with 4 centre backs half the time. So it is about systems. But I do think he needs help. There are times when we overgas him and say, the butcher, he can do everything. And he gets twisted up. Simple as that. Because he's over aggressive and sometimes thinks he's the man when he doesn't need to. And then there's other times where it's like, mate, we are shit without him. We need him for this style of play. Don't underestimate how good he is.
Well, yeah. I remember last season we were like that. And then when he came in and played in the FA Cup final, we were like, he put a brilliant performance.
Haaland in his pocket. Literally.
Yeah, it's not the only time he's done that as well.
Exactly.
So,
100%.
Again, I just think we need to be... It goes, but that's the problem, I suppose, with us as a fan base, isn't it? We are so extreme either way, aren't we? We are so extreme of they are amazing. And because we say that they are amazing, when they do drop down to probably their normal level or they fluctuate like anyone would, then that leads into they're terrible, they're dead. We were wrong about them. They're not going to do anything. And it's wild.
Yeah, exactly. Ninth Earth says, why does he keep mentioning Rio? Was Rio ever considered as one of the best?
Yes.
Yes, he was. I don't know if you're young and maybe just EAFC only started watching football maybe 5 years ago. Maybe I don't know. But yes, I think it's safe to say that Rio Ferdinand was considered as one of the best.
Yes.
Just a bit. You might just see the podcast now and think, oh, maybe this Rio guy wasn't that good. Maybe he just talks a bit or a bit of a media personality. No, he was legitimately.
He's look. Rio
Arguably,
Ferdinand's got some
depending on
hot
who you
takes, but like but in terms of you could argue ahead of his time, he'd probably be more suited to today's football than he was back then. You know what I mean?
100%. That's just not a bias for me. That's just the facts.
No, that's just
life.
Facts. Yeah, exactly. Well, he said that about himself, didn't he? He said, if I played today, I might be £100 million defender, and he's probably not a million miles off.
He was the most expensive defender then.
Then, exactly, with his white suit, 30 million quid, right? So exactly. My goodness,
100%. So please don't ask silly questions in the chat. But if you do need educating, actually do ask, and then the community can educate you because we're all United fans. So yeah, big up. Daniel Luciano says injury is never good, but it allows us to ease him in. And remember when at the beginning of his injury, obviously, like what Daniel Luciano says, you never. What would be better is for him to be fit, training all the time, get a few appearances in and out, not just stuck in a boot, not fit. But if you're an optimistic person, you have to take, the good out of any situation that happens, even though it's bad. Try and turn it into something, because you've been dealt that card now. You got injured. How can you make it positive? And that's the bit I do agree with Daniel Luciano. Gives him time in a new city, new house, family, friends, getting acquainted with the city. You'd have more time to do that than you would if you were just training every day, games, traveling here and there and the other. You can actually get your surroundings in Manchester. And for an 18-year-old, in probably his third senior season, I want to say. He's only done a couple of seasons at Lille, didn't he?
A couple, yeah.
He's only played 60-odd games in the pro game. That is very beneficial. We shouldn't underestimate how beneficial that is. Obviously, it's also not beneficial mentally being injured. You can't do the thing you love. So that's one thing. But the support, hopefully he has, and I think he does, to settle down and integrate properly. That's a plus. You can get your living situation sorted, and your friends and your family. Love United, hate the ops says Yoro should be integrated to the team slowly, just like Kobe was last season. Remember, he was playing games with the under-21s before he was 100% ready. And yeah, we all agree with that as well. That's basically what we've been saying. And JP8 says, morning all, hope everyone is great. Big up all the UV family. Been a member for 26 months as well. Look at that. That's real longevity. Big up to you. Really appreciate that. And use your perks, guys. If you are a member, get your members chats in. If you want to send a super chat, get that in. And of course, in the comment section, we will get that read out for you as well. We're nearly at 1,400 people watching, which is very, very good. Nearly 400 likes, so 360. So let's do the job on that, peeps. Let's get the likes up, get subscribing to the channel as well. On our way to 200k. We're at 176 at the minute. So yeah, we want to get that 177 in the bag as quickly as possible. All right, the next injury prone, well, not injury prone. Well, this one is actually. Actually, no. Let's skip that. Let's do Hojlund. Let's mix it up a bit, because the Shaw one. Or is that,
I wasn't going to do Shaw. I was going to do Malacia next.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah. So Tyrell Malacia, Eric Ten Hag said about him. Of course, it's this knee injury. The timeline of that is really, really wild. He came back to preseason last season with a knee injury, then had surgery. Surgery didn't take, then had surgery again. It's been setback after setback after setback. But Ten Hag said on August 2nd about him, he is now in a good place, but he's not here because I only took players who could be available for team training. This was on the tour, of course. He is not that far, but he's now in a progress situation at a relatively short notice. He can return again to team training and then into team performance in games. I think it would be possible in 2 months. That's what he said back in August. They've listed a potential return date for him as Brentford at home on the 19th of October. So just over a month away when it comes to maybe about 6 weeks away for
I think the thing with Malacia is actually we're forgetting that's actually not that far away, because he's been out so long, and his prognosis, he's had many of them, but the last one I think we were told was 2 months away, basically, from being available for selection. We haven't had any reports of setbacks. We haven't had any reports of that's not going in that direction. That's the last and final update we've had. We've seen him in training a little bit. There are a few pictures early of him on the grass. Sorry, yeah, not team training, on the grass. So if he's been on the grass that long and it still is, That's a good sign. Would they put the pressure on when he actually gets back to team training and put some pictures up and stuff? Never know, really, because there
They
might
would
be like,
announce
this is
it.
a
They
dodgy
would
one.
announce,
They'll put
Malacia back in
I
training.
think, or Eric and the presser would say it, because Peachy's gonna say no injury fronts. He's gonna say it, and then obviously, Eric can take it away. When I speak to KG as well, he's like, listen, don't give up on this guy. Like he's come in, and initially in the first season with Eric, his job was to give competition to Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
And he did for that large parts of that season. He played quite a bit of football. Then he had some struggles. I remember going to Omonia, shout out, Neil Lennon, their team in Cyprus. I remember him and Sancho got hooked at half.
It used to
gave
be,
away, City
Eric
away.
would just take out the left side of the team and put a new left side in.
Because they were underperforming. But I do remember when we got spanked off of Brentford 4-0, and then we lost against Brighton the game before that, going into that Liverpool game, which was the third game of the season in Eric's first season. And it was like, Luke Shaw ain't been at it. And he made big changes, remember? And Malacia came in, he was banging on Salah, and we won that game. That was the one where Sancho played against Arsenal. So he played in some of the bigger ones. And then he had a good run, I think, up until City away again, when we were like 4-0 down at half time, something stupid like that. And then we didn't really see him up. So he had some ups and he had some downs for a relatively young player, but he's at 25. He's not like a kid.
No, he's not. He's not like as young as maybe people think.
He just looks. He looks it.
Yeah.
So look, his job was to primarily to come in and be cover for Luke Shaw. But now what's happened is he's been unfortunate, very, very unfortunate with injuries, where he's now in the same bracket as Luke Shaw in terms of you're not sure if you can rely on him. How's he going to come back from this long-term injury, etc., etc. And he's probably he's had a huge battle on his hands in terms of mentally. You know what I mean? The dedication he's got to show to get back. You can say it's his job. You can say that's what he's got to do it, but you can't underestimate what those continual setbacks. Guys probably thinking, "Fuck it, what's happening, man? My knee. Why does this keep happening?" And you never know how you're going to come back from that. So I just think our expectations of having him back available need to be quite low. Needs to be quite, and then it's a bonus from there.
Yeah, I pushed back on this last season quite a bit with the Malacia stuff, because I mean, I know it's social media, so this is what it is. But this whole where is Malacia? Has anyone seen Malacia? And all this sort of nefarious connotation surrounding him. I thought you'd think, this is a guy, like as you mentioned, he's had a surgery for an injury. He's got at that point, he's got no timeline of coming back. Then it's not getting any better, or there's setbacks. He's got to have surgery again. And it turns into a meme. It turns into a running joke, whatever. And you do sort of forget the sort of player, personal, like I said, mental side of it. And at this stage, in all honesty, when I think about him, I just hope that he can get back. Maybe it's not even at United long term. I just hope he can get back to playing regularly again, and it doesn't hamper his career, because we've seen things like this with other players in the past. You think of like an Owen Hargreaves, don't you, where they're out for like over a year. And you go, when they come back, what version of them are coming back? What does their longer term career really look like from this? Is it going to be one of those ones where in 2 or 3 years' time, we're like, yeah, he was out for over a year, but he came back and he's just back to what he was, and it was fine.
Or is it could be either, couldn't it? You don't
exactly. Know. Or is it going to be like an Owen Hargreaves where you go, yeah, it's beginning of the end? Because again, the Owen Hargreaves stories at Manchester United, I think Sir Alex called him his most disappointing signing ever. And that's a player that his first season at United, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Coming out of the World Cup, he was everywhere in midfield. I remember his free kick he scored against Arsenal in the league. He scored one against Fulham as well. He scored a penalty in the Champions League final in the penalty shootout. Just a top player. And he's another one, actually, that because of maybe his punditry today, people are like, oh, who's Owen Hargreaves or whatever. You go, actually,
he's a big man
good.
Player.
He was really good.
Yes.
And then he basically disappeared for 2 years with knee injuries and all that kind of stuff.
Only played for us for 27 times.
Literally. And then he was out for 2 years.
In 4 years, he only played 27 times for us.
Comes back against Wolves, I remember, and he came off after 10 minutes, maybe that or something, with a hamstring problem, and then it was just done. And then he did end up going City at the end of his career as well. Played a game or a couple of games.
One game.
One game. I think it was in the League Cup he scored for them. But point being is, you can, like you say, there's how are you going to come back, basically? How are you going to come back? And the hope would be that he can come back, put it behind him, and maybe just slot back into that, because he was never going to be that like first team lockdown left back starter for Manchester United. Maybe he just comes back into that, backup left back position, and that's cool. We still need a new long-term left back. It doesn't really change of any of our left back injuries at the moment. But for me, I just hope for his sake and for his career that he comes back and he's close to the level that he was before. Because, I mean, yeah, what a nightmare. I mean, well over a year with that kind of injury is shit. Multiple surgeries. And like you said, then the sort of the mental, and to be honest, him just coming back in general is probably a credit to him, really, just to come back from all of that. And if he can still play at a high level, then good for him.
Yeah, I agree. We just got to temper expectation. Let him be. Let him come back and see what version of him gets back. I mean, ironically, and this is the improper quotations, ironically, Luke Shaw has his issues, but he's closer to playing, way closer to actually playing than Malacia is.
Way closer.
Way closer. It's chalk and cheese.
Yeah, if you look at it here with Luke Shaw, that's a calf injury. Eric Ten Hag, when he's been asked about him, he's actually been very much like, it's very short term. He's going to be back. They're saying after the international break, the Manchester Evening News has his potential return date as Southampton on the 14th of September. So what's that? Less than 10 days. It could be, when we come back off the international break, Luke Shaw is going to possibly be available. I don't know if you've heard this. I've seen some people going, I don't know about that. and again, people that you would trust.
It's not funny. I shouldn't laugh. I actually shouldn't laugh. It's not
people
funny.
that you would trust to know about that kind of stuff have gone, I'm not sure about that one. And again, I'm honestly with the Luke Shaw thing, I'm beyond the point of sort of anger, at this point, because why should we be angry at someone that we know that's what it's going to be?
Just change it.
Problem is, should have got a left back. Should have got left back. We said that for months, way before the window even opened. We need a left back. We need a left back. We need a left back. We need a left back, because you've got two people there. One's coming off an injury where he's been out for every year. The other one, he's injured all the time.
Their answer was to it, bro, was that we'll just get
going to be
back.
back.
He can do both. Well, too. That's what I mean. And he's got injury problems as well. We're not thinking about it right now, touch wood, because we're just like, Mazraoui's settling in, how good is he going to be on the ball, this, that, and the other. But the truth of the matter is he has had big issues as well. And he's on an international break now as well. I'm just fingers crossed everything, that with Morocco, that happen. And he's got to play a high volume of games. He probably hasn't done that for a little while, where he's been the number one guy. And it's just like, you want to just get that balance. And Man United's answer to us saying we need a left back was, well, let's get a multifunctional guy, because we're not just going to go just for a left back. We'll shift Dalot to there. Mazraoui can play here. Then when Luke Shaw's fit, he can play. If we can get 20 games out of him, along with basically two injury-prone players, just can do it between them. Three. Basically, they're saying you three between Mazraoui, Malacia, and Shaw. They're saying, listen, you're all injury-prone, right? But between you, can you guys give us 50 games? But
honestly, when Mazraoui went down against Liverpool, because he had the label, he had concussion, you could tell everyone went, here we go. And you could see even Eric was on the bench shaking his head going,
because I don't want to jinx anything, right? But clearly the jinx of injury is nothing to do with me, guys. No matter what I say. Can we just park that, because we know that it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, there's the things of you did this, you touched this player, touched that player. As many players I haven't touched, still injured, mate. Still injured, right? Right? It doesn't matter who it is, right? The risk of their injury is just, it is what it is. And you know what? Let's be real, we're one injury away already. Like if Mazraoui got injured on international break, there's nobody.
We don't know. Well, because that's the other
right
thing,
now,
actually.
Owen, with Luke Shaw not back, who would play left back against Southampton if Mazraoui got injured?
That's the other thing. Right back, so they're saying the other backup to the backups is actually this person who is also currently injured at the moment. They're saying would be Victor Lindelof. They're saying, and with Victor Lindelof, he's got a toe injury. Of course, he was on crutches. His wife showed that on her Instagram
That's
story.
Quite a bad one as well, actually.
Ten Hag said this was on August 22nd. He has an issue with his toe. Hopefully he can return quickly, but he's not available for the weekend. Another potential return date for him is Southampton on the 14th of September.
I don't know about that. I ain't seen him training, nothing. He was on crutches over there.
And then just on top of that, have you seen him try play fullback?
Yeah, like exactly.
A couple of times that we had to last season, and once again, it's like just because it's like, well, they can do it. Well, yeah, anyone can stand on that side of the pitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I know he gets crosses in and whatever, and he back in the day used to be a fullback, but no,
absolutely not. If anyone, it would have to put Leacher back there. Like against Southampton, you'd have to bring in Maguire.
Yeah, you probably do that.
And put De Ligt. There's no other thing you could do. Harry Amas, I know we could say, yeah, just play the kid. There's a reason why they're holding him back. They do not think he's ready, and it's not fair. I mean, Toby Collier had to get a little bit of that medicine, but he's further ahead than Harry Amas. I think they think he's more ready, even though not quite. Harry Amas, I think they had a look at him in pre-season and said, okay, there's still things to work on. There were some nice bits, but we could even see defensively and,
But he was named in the Europa League squad, wasn't he, Harry Amas?
Yeah, which is good because that's what I'm saying. So with more, I think that the plan there is definitely leave him be, let him keep training with us, just not yet, and keep can get an appearance in the Europa League, etc., etc. They've done the right thing, but again, if it was Southampton, like I said, coming out of that, and then Barnsley straight away, it's like, what are you going to do? Leach would have to play there straight away. There's no other option.
That is so mad, considering the season we had last season in that particular position. If you wanted to name one position, that was like, what's the cursed position? And I know there were a lot. You would go like left back. We had 3 on the books. We still ended up with 0 at certain points, right? How we went for a transfer window, not addressing that. And then to your point, the narrative around addressing it was we bought another right back because we sold the other right back. Like I know what man,
but he can play left back.
But it's like, but so could Wan-Bissaka technically. You know what I mean?
Technically, yeah, it's not as good. Or we'll send our actual right back, Dallo, who is actually quite comfortable out there. Dallo's our left back, bro. Dallo is the left back.
And it's like, and he's been putting okay performances there. And he's not a left back, bear in mind as well. But it's just like how we just didn't address that. It's just I cannot wrap my head around it. Like, and again, the justification, which was, we've signed Mazraoui and Luke Shaw won't be injured for that long, which even that argument is mad because Luke Shaw last played for Manchester United in February, September. And he's played for England a couple of times since then. And when he was playing for England in the Euros, there was a general consensus of he's probably not ready. He shouldn't be here. He missed most of the tournament. What kind of Ledley King energy is this or whatever? It is crazy. Like, it's beyond crazy. And again, not wanting to wish injury on anyone at all, but when he comes back, it will just be a thing of like, when's he going to get hurt again? When is he going to get hurt? And even when he played for England in the semi-final and final, it get a bit like the Mazraoui thing. Whenever he went down, you went, here we go.
Yeah,
here we go. This
all
is
the time. All the time, bro. All the time, and it's just painful. It really, really is. Rasmus as well. This is the injury review today.
Yes, it is. Rasmus Hojlund, of course, got a hamstring injury. He did it against Arsenal once again. And what a sort of 20-minute disaster period. That's when you knew that it might be a long season.
We were so fine in that game as well. You thought, I tell you what,
we've started well, wonder up.
We're all over Arsenal, wave after wave. Rasmus, second chance after the goal. Tell you what, this is brilliant. Then he's going, come and have a look at this.
He's down after a chance as well. You go, there's a chance. And then a couple minutes later, Lenny Yoro coming off and you went, this is turned to shit.
And then we literally, the whole team, and we have never recovered since.
No, we haven't. So they're saying a potential return date. I mean, Erik ten Hag said after the international break, he'll be back. But when we will see how it develops during the break to get him match fit. If it takes a while before he's ready, he has to build some fitness. There was something in the mail the other day that was saying that he's basically doing everything he can to be fit in time. They're listing a potential return date for him as Crystal Palace away. That's on the 21st of September. So that's the second game back after the international break. I think it is something like that. But not too far off. There have been pictures of him on the grass training as well. Hamstrings are concerning, aren't they? Because you can do all the recovery and then you spread it in a match and it can be you can pull up again. And it's a strange season. Well, it's an interesting season for Rasmus Hojlund because last season was a mixed bag, wasn't it? Took him ages to get his first goal. Then he had that hot streak where he couldn't stop scoring, and we were like, wow, okay, what have we got here now? Then he got injured again, and then basically after that didn't really score that much anymore. Got a couple towards the end of the season, didn't he? So What do you actually, and let us know in the chat about this one, what do you actually expect from him this season? Because is it more of the sort of hot streak Hojlund, when we're like, wow? Or is it more of the not getting any service Hojlund, not really involved in the games? Like, what do you expect from him this year?
I think well, he's another, you can never discount being another year wiser and more experienced. That goes a long, long way in this league. You know, he would have learnt a lot last year, being the main man with no help, you know, thrust into the competition, or the league, should I say, into this team with no help. And in a weird way, it was really weird for Rasmus last year, because early in the season, and
It
when the
really
Champions
was,
League
wasn't it?
it was
It
weird,
was
because
really weird.
in the Champions League times, you know, he was fine, he was scoring goals.
Yeah.
And you got a glimpse, you're like, well, I remember the goal he scored at Old Trafford against Galatasaray, where he ran the length of the half, because Davinson Sanchez, I think, fell over, and then he just ran with it and dinked the keeper. And you're going, this,
There's something there.
you can do.
Yeah.
Then I think Rashford quickly started against Copenhagen, crossed it, header, or was that
Yeah.
against Galatasaray as well? It might have been against Galatasaray as well. I can't remember. But anyway, so you're going, you know, there's something there here. You know, then he gets sort of the tap-ins away at Copenhagen, scores a decent goal away at Bayern, and you're like, this kid's like up the top of the goal scoring charts in the Champions League for the group stages. We're shit. We're at the bottom in the groups, but he's doing his job. And then we start getting frustrated up with just, why is that not transferring into the Premier League? And in the Premier League, obviously, it is different. I think that we didn't play to his strengths, and we're trying to work him out. And plus, I think there was a lot of frustration from his part, where, because he is physical, because he is quite powerful for his age, he wanted to just wrestle and fight people as well. So he had to learn that, like, listen, mate, unless you're Drogba kind of vibe, if you want to start getting involved in that against the big centre halves in the Premier League, where they're
Like
really
Haaland,
physical,
you know
or
what I mean?
Haaland, you know, physical specimen, you're going to struggle. And then on top of that, our wingers and our style of play, or lack of, just really, really didn't help him. So it was a mixture of everything. But when that's all said and done, you know, he scored goals in the Premier League in a really condensed period, didn't he? Was it like 6 and 7 in that little period?
He broke
when
the
scored
record,
again?
didn't he? He broke a record or
Broke the
whatever for
record.
United. I'm showing his age.
So-
and that's where it was like, well, there's something there.
So there's something there. And then he gets injured in that after that. Do you know what I mean? So you're like, for God's sake, another injury. He was just on a good run. Why has this had to happen? And then I think he came back against Liverpool, didn't he, when we drew 2-2? Came back in that game.
Yeah, when he came back, yeah. But
I'm sure he came back
missed,
in against them.
He missed he got injured, and then we played Fulham at home and we lost. And we were like, oh, this whole little patch of good form might be over now.
Yeah, exactly. But he still was our top goal scorer last season with 16 goals when it's all said and done. And in your first season, if you think about it, I think he scored 9 goals for Atalanta the year before. So he's, you know, he's just under, you know, nearly doubled it. Do you know what I mean? He's nearly doubled his tally, there or thereabouts. And then you go, actually, for a kid in his first season, he's doubled his tally from the season before, with a step up in class and with no help. And some injuries, some niggly injuries along the way, which he's picked up a few of these niggly ones as well, by the way. These little hamstring, these little muscular things.
Yeah.
This is probably his 3rd one now, isn't it? I want to say.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So what I expect to him, back to your question, is more goals for sure. I think he's definitely a goal scorer. Hopefully he doesn't. I want to see him get involved less with just wrestling. Don't just go and engage and just fight. Like, I want to see more runs in behind, and I want to see us, most importantly, play into his strengths. You know, because Xerxes isn't going to do these 2 strikers are chalk and cheese. Let me tell you that.
Yeah,
chalk and cheese.
I just hope that he's not like a complete purple patch player, that his goals kind of come in clusters. You know what I mean? That would be the only concern, like you said. You do have a couple of concerns about that in the last year. There have been a couple of times where, well, he's out for 3 weeks now, or he's out for 6 weeks. Why? Hamstring, back, thigh. You know, you start going, it's a bit concerning. But that's what I suppose why you got other players. But yeah, it is an interesting one with him, because you would hope. And he scored against Arsenal in pre-season. So you go, oh, okay, you know. So I do think there is something there. I mean, he had a tough Euros, didn't he? And he did have chances at the Euros, and he couldn't finish, which was a concern for him. But yeah, it's a weird one, because I still, in all honesty, I'm still not totally sure what we've got there with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've got something, but I'm not sure what it is.
It still feels
and you
like
can't
we need like,
you can't put like
sick guy.
Yeah,
like,
you can't.
It still does feel like that.
It's difficult to say how good he can be But I think, and maybe this is a bit harsh, but in terms of going right, top striker, don't know if he's going to be that.
It doesn't
You know
feel
what I
that,
mean?
does it? It
I
doesn't
think
feel
he
like
might.
that. No.
I think his ceiling might be a sort of, you know, in all comps years, like 20, sort of. You know, in the Premier League, he might get like 10. A good season for him might be like
12,
12, 15 or whatever. But in
Yeah.
terms of like prolific striker scoring all the time, I don't know if he's going to get to that.
Yeah,
To
I
that
can hear it in
level.
your voice. I can hear exactly. I feel exactly what you're saying from the way you're saying. Like it's like I just don't know if he's that. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's a good young and up and coming player, and he looks exciting. But like you said, that the ceiling doesn't look at the very, very top.
Yeah.
And Xerxes, we've only seen him for 3 games and 1 start. But there is a bit of a vibe of the same vibe. Like, okay, I can see he's going to want the ball nice and neat and tidy. If we had amazing stuff around that, he could be the glue to it all.
That's what I mean. If you had, and to be fair, Ten Hag did mention this, and this is probably the most he'll probably ever criticize Marcus Rashford. Yeah, is when he said last season, he went, well, last season we had like 30 goals from a player or whatever. He went, if you add 15 to that, then you should be better. So he's sort of intimating that, well, if everyone had kept up their form, we would be fine. We would be fine.
But the problem is that
the
actual problem is actually relying on Rashford to do that. If we're being honest,
that was
a complete. I don't want to be pessimistic. The way it is with Rashford, I'll almost go as far as say he's never going to do that again.
He won't do that again.
He 30 goals. And that was in
not
a really
level.
The period it was in as well was just like, well, mate, everything he's hitting is just mental.
Like, I won't do that again.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't think he'd ever do that again. So really, that is on the manager to go, oh, well, he done that. He could do that every year. All we need to do is get this. No. You only do that on players who have done it season in, season out. Heung-min Songs, Mo Salahs, Mane when he was there. You know, these types of bankers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Saka's becoming a bit of a banker now in terms of output. You know he's going to get, 15 goals and assists or whatever, or 20 across the 2. You know he's going to be a high output. You can bank on him. These types of players are the ones you can bank on, not Marcus Rashford, who has not had any.
That's one of Ten Hag's biggest mistakes, isn't it? Is his assumption that Rashford can do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
it definitely is.
Because he's, there was, why is Rashford starting against Liverpool last weekend? It's because Ten Hag thinks, I can get Rashford back to what he was previously.
Yeah,
and you've almost got to acknowledge, well, you're not going to get back to that. You know what I mean? He can probably be better than he is at the moment, but to the point, like you said, where he's winning games single-handedly, it's all on Rashford. Like when we played Wolves away that time and he was late and I was, he's not playing. How can we not play Rashford? He's our best player. And he comes on and wins the game because he's our best player. If that's just what he was, And to be honest with him, credit to Rashford because he's managed to galvanize that purple patch into getting a big contract, a lot of attention that he already had anyway. But now it's starting to haunt him because it's like.
And now, if he wanted a new challenge, just on the topic of Rashford, really, if he wanted a new challenge, it's like, I know, like, it always seems like Rashford is the brand. Of course, people would take him. Absolutely. There's not that many. Do you know what I mean? On those types of wages now, you look at the economy in football and the current climate in football. It ain't easy out there. People ain't trying to spend 400 grand on someone who's not a guaranteed bagsman. It's that simple. People don't do that.
Unless it's Saudi. Unless it's literally
unless it's Saudi.
Ivan Toney go for like, was it? He's on like 400, 500k a week.
Obviously, it's Rashford. I mean, they would love that, of course, that name, and that would definitely, at this type of age. But Rashford wouldn't do that. But he looks a shell of himself, and in terms of actual takers for those type of wages. So you could say, tell you what though, mate, if you went Arsenal under Arteta, I'll tell you what, you'd do all right. Yeah, but they wouldn't break their wage structure like that to have him. Maybe Chelsea wouldn't add another left winger for no reason. But you know what I mean? There's not many people. There's no one else in the league that would take him. Then you're looking at them other clubs in Europe. Bayern Munich, they do pay big wages to some players. Like Harry Kane's on over 400 grand a week. But there's not many. There's not many. After that, slim pickings. Juve can't do it. AC Milan can't do it. Inter Milan can't do it. Barcelona can't do it. and they just,
I did
it's not going to
see
happen.
yesterday. I saw something because of this Ivan Toney talk about how much money he's on, and it was like the 5 highest paid English players in football, and
Tony's
it was
second.
like, and Harry Kane was the top. Ivan Toney was second. He was a third, but there was like Sterling was in there. Rashford, I think, was fifth, the 5th
Sancho?
highest. No, I don't think Sancho was, but it was. But my point being, I was looking at them. I was like, 3 of them didn't even play for England.
Exactly.
and
Mental.
they're on some of the highest paid wages, and it just goes to show, doesn't it? Like, I think maybe the idea that the best players are paid the most isn't exactly true. Particularly, definitely at Man United, but sort of across the board, isn't it? It's just like there are some crazy contracts out there in football.
I agree. Kaylo says that, gentlemen, how are we feeling about this season?
This international break, try not to think about it.
Yeah, just ask me about the Nations League, man. When's England playing? I don't know.
Oh, I hate that. It's even worse.
Oh, mate. I don't know, Kaylo. We have to wait. I need to see a bit more. Right now, it feels shit. I ain't gonna lie. It feels like it's gonna go to shit. But it's the 3rd game, and it's doom and gloom after you got spanked by Liverpool. So we need to see this little period of games into the next international break, and then I can answer properly then. Kayla says, also, this is the real Ronaldo. Kim Min Jae guy. Oh, yes, big up to you.
It was the United View scan. And also, congratulations to Cristiano Ronaldo, 900 career goals last night.
900
Portugal.
career goals, man.
It's
ridiculous.
mad.
I saw a thing where it's 45 minutes where you can watch all the goals. Just mental. I watched like the first 3 minutes and just saw him early doors at Sporting and United. I was just like, oh, man. Then I just skipped right towards near the end. Then I went to the middle quickly just to see some of the Real Madrid ones for like a minute. Then I skipped to near the end. And I was just like, it's just a joke, man. Forget how it ended here. It's a joke. And he wants to do 1,000. He wants to do 1,000. And can he do 1,000 if he stays in? Can he get 100 more goals if he stays in Saudi for 2 more years?
That's like one of the sort of theories, isn't it? Of like, well,
you got to do the stat pad in there.
You can stat pad it a little bit.
Still professional. Goes on your record.
Well, and it's not as if he's not getting paid a lot to go and do it. You know what I mean? He's still.
So
he's the highest paid player in the world
now. Is he 38?
He's 39, isn't he?
39.
Ronaldo.
So if he stays.
He's 39. 39.
39. So if he stays, he'd need to get 100 goals even there, because he's not going to get that much more at Portugal.
It's like
he'd
2
have
and 2 and a bit seasons, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, no.
How much does he score there? Still scores 40, doesn't he? There.
Well, yeah, and they do, and it's not just obviously they've got different competitions as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're in the Asian Champions League out at NASA, whatever. Because as he points out, he still does play Champions League. It's just not the UEFA Champions League.
It's their Champions League. Yeah,
it's their Champions League.
But it counts towards his professional record.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So 100 goals in all comps for him. He could do that in 2.5 years.
Yeah, he'd get
and he's still probably got. He's got a Nations League left with Portugal.
Yeah,
I don't know if would he make it to the World Cup?
Well, and also as well, it's like in those things, when will Portugal end up playing like a Luxembourg, because he always gets like a hat trick.
Yeah, he can stat pad. Yeah, he can stat pad in some easy games. He'll get to 1,000. I don't think he'll retire. I just think he wants to get that 1,000.
And they reckon he wants to play in the same team with his son as well. So you probably wait a couple more years to do that.
He wants to do a LeBron, mate. That would be sick.
Exactly.
Kaylo says, also, this is the real Ronaldo. Oh, I read that already. Suj says, over 1.6K watching. Let's get those likes up, people. Really good shout. Nearly at 1,700 towards the end of the show, which is great. We're nearly at 600 likes. Let's do 650, guys. Let's do it, because we're basically at 6 already. Let's get 650 likes as we wrap up. This is an interesting one. Eminem says, Flex, it's hard to compare Salah-Son to Rashi when they're put in situations and play to their strengths. This team overall scores less. I think Salah would do what he does at Liverpool in this Eric Ten Hag setup, and I'll push back on that and say sometimes, regardless of system, you see world-class generational players. It doesn't. So to answer your question, if we had Salah on the right wing, even in this system, yes, he would still get 20 gols.
Well, and also flip it. If Marcus Rashford played for Liverpool, he wouldn't get the numbers that Salah did, or even in Son at Spurs. Son at Spurs under different managers, by the way, as
ridiculous.
well.
Under shit negative managers, don't win nothing, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Spurs, mate, just Spurs. They're just shitty Spurs.
And Rashford wouldn't have got those numbers. He wouldn't have.
And you've got Harry Kane there, who's arguably one of the best. Well, not arguably, he's one of the best nines we've ever seen. Second highest scorer in the Premier League ever. you know, he's the main guy, and Son's still putting in basically 20 every season from left wing. Like, there's unquestionable world-class levels, and Rashford is nowhere near it. So, Eminem, to be honest with you, I disagree. I don't think it is hard to compare Salah to Son and Rashi at all. It's chalk and cheese. It's really easy to compare.
Well, it's the standard, isn't it? It's the standard to compare them to, you know?
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. Rashford couldn't lace their boots. That's it. There's no other. There's no
people like Salah, definitely not.
Yeah, even Son, like, he can't. He can't. Do you know what I mean? Eminem says, "Nah, flex. Salah 20 goals in this Eric Ten Hag system." Yes. Salah would still get 20. If we put him on the right wing instead of Ahmad or Garnacho, Salah would still get 20 goals.
Well, even the thing with Mo Salah is, even obviously, would he hit the numbers he does at Liverpool? Probably not. It wouldn't be in as a well-functioning team, but he would still get goals and more,
and he would
goals
shine
than
as the
Rashford.
out and out best,
and more,
and he
and
would
more.
be consistent
and more. And we would,
right, let's say
we
15.
we would gas him. We would gas him to the the highest of high levels because we're so desperate for success. He wouldn't get as many as he gets Liverpool, but he would still get more than Rashford. I mean, that is just.
I don't even know why we're talking about Rashford.
No, I don't.
It's just like we spent too long already. Like, it's crazy. All respect though, Eminem. I hear what you're trying to say, but I think it's a disrespect to Salah to even mention Rashford's name, bro, in the same sentence, if I'm honest. Sagnit says, last season, Hojlund 15 goals, Osimhen 16. Yeah, and he had injuries, AFCON as well, and just wasn't as good as he was the season before, the Osimhen hype. So, and obviously ended up in Turkey as well with a shocking turn of events towards the end of the window. So,
sacked his agent.
Yeah, sacked his agent. Said, "Fucking hell, mate." This is no disrespect.
This isn't Chelsea or the Premier League or whatever. This isn't Saudi. I'm in Turkey. What's this?
We're playing against Scott McTominay.
Yeah, got you. I got you to move. Got you to move. Where?
I don't know. It's not going to be now because he just left there.
On loan. On what? Oh,
mental. Absolutely crazy. Guys, what we got coming up later on? We got the Trinity, not powered by Dangor anymore. Coming up later on at 6 p.m. So make sure you guys check that out later on today. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Subscribe to Owen's channel. Subscribe to KG channel, etc., etc. You guys know all of the work to do. Have I missed anything? I have not missed everything. That is everything and anything. Big up for watching, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow at some stage. It's international break. Just chill. Just relax. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Take care. Peace.